Hey, why are you so tensed? What happened?
I have applied for US visa, and now my visa application is rejected and they have issued me 221G form. Now what will I do? I don't know anything about it.
I think you don't have to worry about it. You have to find someone who can help you and tell you about the further process and reasons because of which your visa application is rejected.
So where will we find such consultancy or a person? Do you know anyone who can help me?
No, I don't know anyone, but we can look for it on Google or YouTube. There are some people who can help us.
Okay, so we should start looking for it now only.
Yes. See, I have found one such platform which helps students to pursue their higher education from abroad. Their name is Let's Do GRE. They have their YouTube channel, and see, they have one video regarding 221G form. We should watch this video, and if you have any questions regarding it, you can contact them as their contact information is given there. Let's start the video.
What is 221G form? This form usually indicates that an applicant's visa has been temporarily refused until specific documents are provided to the consular officer. Should the applicant address the consular officer's concerns and provide the required information and documents, the 221G refusal can be overturned and the visa issued to the foreign national. Receiving the 221G letter does not necessarily mean that a visa application has been rejected, nor does lower the chances of receiving your visa. It may simply mean that the officer is not able to determine a final decision based on the documentation provided and additional information you initially provided. Along with the 221G letter, the consular officer may also supply the applicant with a form that specifying the reasons why the visa application has been temporarily refused and any further required action. Reasons why a 221G refusal may be issued. Background check. If you come from another work in an industry which is on the Technology Alert List, TAL, you might be put under review by the consulate. Employment check. The United States will usually do an extra employment check if you work in a consultancy that is hard to define. This extra check is to dig in a little deeper to what exact work and projects you are currently working on. Types of 221G forms. Blue form. A blue form indicates that additional supporting documentation is required. White form. A white form usually represents a complex 221G category. It indicates that the application requires additional processing by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS. Pink form. A pink form will be issued to applicants when a consular officer has concerns about details provided in the application, such as the applicant's true purpose for visiting the U.S., work information, or qualifications. Yellow form. The issuance of a yellow form indicates that the visa consulate requires additional time to review the documentation. The actual amount of time needed varies and may depend on the details of each individual case. What happens when a 221G is issued? Issuance of 221G form. The applicant will be provided with a color-coded form. The color of the form will indicate the reason why the temporary refusal has been issued. 221G forms are also assigned a case number. Submission of documents. If the 221G form indicates that additional documentation is required to process a visa application, the consulate will notify the applicant. You can typically submit the requested documents to the Visa Facilitation Services, VFS, electronically or at an appropriate location indicated on the 221G form. Waiting period. Once the necessary documentation has been submitted, there may be a waiting period before the application is fully processed. The wait time usually varies from case to case, and the applicant may not be required to take any further action within the waiting period. Submission of passport or visa decision. After processing has been completed and the applicant's visa eligibility has been determined, the U.S. consulate will request that you submit a passport, if it has not been submitted already, and the visa consulate will stamp the passport with the US visa. Usual processing time for a 221G. The processing time for a 221G form is case dependent. In some cases, the processing may take weeks, while for others it may take several months. If there are no additional documents needed and the consulate does not need additional information, the case can typically be processed and resolved within a 60-day period. Visa applicants who have received a 221G temporary refusal form are usually asked not to inquire about the status of their case for a minimum of 180 days. However, they may follow up with their visa consulate or the U.S. Department of State if an emergency situation arises, such as the death of a family member or a serious injury. Should a case remain pending after a 180-day period, the applicant can typically check the status of their case by contacting the consulate where the visa interview took place. Applicants with pending cases after the 60-day period may also contact the visa application call center. But keep in mind that the call center may not be able to provide additional information regarding the status of the case. Reasons for 221G processing delays. The consular officer assigned to the case may take a prolonged amount of time to verify information provided by the applicant, such as employee-related information. Information presented in the documentation contradicts information shared by the applicant during the visa interview. In this scenario, the consular officer may need to verify why the information given during the interview conflicts with the documents provided. An applicant's name is on a watch list or is similar to someone else's name on a watch list. In such cases, additional background checks may be required that can delay processing. The additional documentation requested is incomplete or does not contain the necessary information. How to check the status of 221G processing time. Applicants who receive a 221G form may not check the status of their case before the 180-day waiting period has passed unless there is an emergency. After that period, an applicant can check the status of their 221G case in one of the following ways. To keep track of the status of their passports. To track their case numbers. Not every case can be tracked here. However, additionally, every consulate will have their own process for updating their cases. Contact the Department of State directly by email or by phone. With this method, expect to be provided with the same information found through the two previous tracking options. Is there any way to expedite the process? Unfortunately, there is no way to expedite the processing time. While it may take a considerable amount of time to process a 221G, a pending status does not necessarily mean that the application will be rejected. If a visa application be rejected, the applicant will receive a written notification in the form of a refusal letter. Visa applications after a 221G. Whenever someone applies for a US visa, they will be asked if they have ever been refused a US visa in the past. The applicant must answer the question truthfully. It is usually imperative that applicants answer this question honestly and that they are prepared to explain why their application was refused, even if the 221G visa refusal was for something as minimal. Failing to tell the truth about your previous visa applications can result in a denial. 221G refusal assistance. Applicants who have been issued a 221G refusal may wish to consider seeking the assistance by counselor to avoid unnecessary delays or confusions when providing further documentation.
Now you will be thinking how we will help you in this process. We will help you in the preparation of all the documents required with 221G instructions. And to avoid 221G, we will help in initial visa process. And for example, few of the students who get 221G, we help them, and after that they successfully get their visa approval. Few of the students we help are Aishwarya, Akshiti Prashar, Aparna, Arpita, Nitya, Kaif Pathan, Sonal Mehta, Zafar Abbas.